Welcome to the Sight Shift Podcast. We love helping leaders lead for impact, not validation. Hi, my name is Chris McAllister. From scrappy startups to $50 billion companies and everything in between, we help you navigate the challenges of leadership and the challenges of our day to find the way forward. For the next series in this podcast, we're going to be looking at what it means to bring the full impact of the human to bear on this most radical technology called AI, or artificial intelligence. I look forward to hearing from you and what you learn from this series. You can always find more at SightShift, S-I-G-H-T, shift.com. Peace.
Well, welcome back to the Sight Shift Podcast, everybody. So good to have you along as always. He's Chris still, I'm Mark still, and we're back for another episode diving into the AI topic. This is a present topic. This is a real-time topic. I don't know how many times you've been in your AI tool already today. I have a number of times. Like it's what we're doing real time.
It's what everybody's talking about.
It's what everybody's talking about.
30 seconds on yesterday.
Yeah, go.
So middle daughter graduated Ohio State at the SHU. So, it's like the fifth largest outdoor stadium in the world, I think.
Big venue.
Crazy. Probably, I don't know how many people, 60, 80,000, 50, whatever. I mean, it looked pretty full. But the commencement speaker, 80 years old, first 30 seconds, I talked to two of my top advisors for this talk. One of them, Claude. Like, no joke. He said that. And what's wilder to me, I don't even think what's wilder to me is that he said it. I think what's wilder to me is people laughed. So, it's there.
It's there.
It's there.
You like to say it's never going to be as bad as it is today. It's only going to get better. It's the conversations that we're in on a regular basis. It's the conversations we want to be in, not necessarily because it's AI, but because it's timely, and we have timeless, ancient wisdom to speak into this current present topic. And oh, by the way, you got a little project that you're working on relative to this too, right?
Yeah. So the manuscript is here. This is like the fifth version of edits. I dog ear the pages going line by line now. This is probably the third or fourth time I've done that. So Mark, it's a lot of dog ears.
It's a lot of dog ears, yeah.
A lot of work, but it's hard to get it precise every sentence. But that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
So the big reveal, new book, be out 2 months on where does the human end to begin, where does the AI end to begin, and how do we make sure we're positioning the human to lead at the highest level, have the greatest impact.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we said this last episode when we kicked off this topic, but the AI doesn't just, although a little bit, doesn't just reveal a skills gap, it reveals an identity gap. And so as you come into this new tool that works almost at the speed of light now, it just amplifies whatever you're bringing to it.
Yes.
And to the extent that there is need for validation in the human, the tool now instantly meets that validation over and over and over again. You know where this goes. You can see where this is going. It just becomes this validation machine that can move faster than any tool, any real human giving you validation. It can move faster than that. It's just it's a wild environment that we're in.
Yeah.
And I think part of what we're trying to do here is speak into this environment to say, this is what will happen without awareness at a faster speed than we've ever seen before.
Absolutely. I mean, if you imagine like how much social media tuned people to write a certain way, think a certain way, behave a certain way to get that validation. How much more so the most powerful technology that's ever existed now is training itself to keep you coming back for more. And we get into this in the book, but what studies have shown is you come back for more if you feel validated. So the tool attunes itself to reflect those things back that keep you validated. And if the tool attunes itself to keep you validated, you keep coming to get more, this echo chamber develops.
Yeah.
And so we haven't even seen what's going to happen because this is such in the early stages. But people are going to get crazy delusional, living off of their own hype, especially leaders. We get into this in the book, but the higher a leader goes up especially in the C-suite level, they actually become more delusional because they're disconnected from truth.
Yeah.
And statistics show that and bear that out. So you got to fight for this.
So we already know that.
Yeah.
And I think the case that you're making in the book, in the statements, is that leader is going to have to fight even harder to avoid what is that natural echo chamber that forms the higher the organization you go.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You thought it was bad when a leader had a group of yes people and no pushback. Completely different when somebody in the room is like, sharp thinking, great question. I built this whole strategy out for you on that. And that leader's going to be like, this is amazing. Danger, Will Robinson.
One of the things that was interesting in the book is the research that showed that with positive affirmation, validation, usage increased, or self-esteem, maybe that's not the right way to say it, but perception of self increased. But when it was negative validation, negative pushback, or that validation affirmation was removed, the person just stopped using it.
Isn't that crazy?
Right.
It's like the rat hitting the cocaine.
Yeah.
And this is going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Now, that's not for me a doomsday thing. It's the same as any tech. It reflects back the insecurity. And, we want to help people that want to be helped. But at the same time, for people that are in highly competitive spaces, you want your competitors to use it. Because the reality is that they're not going to be aware of this, whether they're interacting with the tool for their own validation or real impact. And so they're going to get this echo chamber going really quick. And they're going to be like all in on strategies that they think are brilliant, that the tool has validated that. And it's bad thinking. It's this chess player that just reaches for the first move, whatever's immediate and what's right there. And, the research shows this happened before. It's going to happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a crystal ball question, but I think what you're describing is a competitive advantage for the leader who can figure this out. Do you think that competitive advantage is long-term, or is it more like this is just an arbitrage opportunity?
Yeah, great question. I've tried to think about this as much as I can to push this out, especially working on the book. And the part of me that is a believer in the potential for change, that part of Chris at the table is like, yeah, it's probably just a short-term window here. But look at what happened with social media. We're more divided, we're more tribal, we're more ideologically fractured. And so raw, authentic Chris to the table would say, I think people are going to create worlds that are going to be completely delusional, and their strategies are going to be misinformed, and we're going to have a long cycle of this. How do these businesses stay in business, though, if they're doing the wrong strategies? I mean, that's the thing that I don't know yet, and I don't think anybody does, what's going to happen to capital markets, because money used to get deployed behind ideas. And now the execution of these ideas are so different with tools like this. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a shift occurring. And that shift, for us, the way we language it, you're going to know if a leader's leading from an insecure identity or not because of how many quarters they're off, because they don't know what to do with these uncertainties. And so part of me wants to say it'll be short term because the market will force these corrections. But I think the authentic raw Chris at the table that isn't swept away by the possibility of change in human nature is going to go, people are just going to stay double down. And they're going to crash and burn their businesses. But it takes a few years to do that, depending on how long your business has been in play. And that, to me, is the sadder reality. You're going to see not quick deaths, but long, slow deaths. And especially if it's a multi-generational business like we see ourselves in a lot, those can have life cycles that go on propped up for a long time. So it could be, and I would define long-term here as 10 or 20 years out. And what a terrible existence to be in. But there's going to be a lot there.
Yeah. You also make the case that the better, stronger, higher, more seasoned the leader is, the more they're able to hide what's really happening here, or maybe a different way to say it is the harder it will be to root out, or I guess maybe here's what I'm trying to say. The higher the leader goes, the more responsibility that they have, the more they can hide this validation behavior, this sycophantic behavior from those around. It's different than the echo chamber. It's more of like they're just better at performing, better at pretending.
Yes,
masking, maybe.
Well, I think you have two dynamics. One dynamic is if you're lower in the org chart, what you're dealing with has a lower time horizon. So there's less uncertainty about it. It's quicker to know what works and what doesn't. Also, too, they're not as polished. They're not as smooth in the moment with words, redirects, misdirection, whatever. So the leaders that have really developed a high-end approach to the social game, we'll call it, they're good at misdirection. They're good at destabilizing people. And obviously we're talking about this in a way that's negative, but some you wouldn't know it's negative.
Yeah.
You and I have interacted with enough leaders in this work that some are like going to be very manipulative and destabilizing, but the real savvy leaders don't show that hand as much.
Yeah, exactly.
You just leave being talked out of your idea, and you're like, I guess I am stupid, and you doubt yourself,
right.
So those kind of leaders indexed with C-suite level problems, which have such a longer time horizon, so much more uncertainty. You don't know if it's going to work or not. You don't know if it is working or not for a longer time horizon. That's the thing that I get concerned about, because then you're dying this slow death over a 10 to 20 year window, and you stay convinced of your own great ideas, and there's enough uncertainty there and a long enough time horizon that nobody has anything to test it against.
Yep. So if that is the problem, so to speak, what's the antidote? What's the thing, the things, the mindset, the shift, the way that the leader that doesn't want to drift away like that can put into place? And I think you address it in your own application inside the book in what you've called the Challenger protocol. Right?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see like everybody developing their own kind of learned custom wisdom on this. But for me, I've watched so many leaders, and truthfully myself, I've done it tons of times, where you go into a meeting and you're front loaded with this idea and you're excited about it and you deliver it with enthusiasm. You deliver the idea and you go, what do you think? So you're already in the solution, not really defining the problem. And so then all you're doing is creating an environment for people to agree or disagree with your idea. And once you've done that, and I've done this before, and it's such an easy thing to fall into as a leader, you now have such a low level of interaction. So imagine that at scale, happening tons of times a day, when a leader's interacting with their AI tool, and they're like, here's my idea. Isn't this a great idea? You don't even say it's a great idea, but here's my idea. And then you just ask, what do you think? It naturally, based on what's coded in to get you using it, it's going to drift towards this affirmation of this idea. And I think the most insidious version of this is where it offers minor corrections. It's not a complete, like, let me tell you why this is way off.
It's great. Here's a few tweaks to make it even greater.
Yeah. Do you want me to build a deck on this?
Yeah.
And incorporate that research that validates it, that you skipped over it and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And so it is as simple, though, as you're failing the test that we covered in the culture series of where all leadership begins with vision. But that vision isn't in a vacuum, and it's not just front-loaded with the excitement of your idea. It's anchored in a problem. And so you're not really doing good leadership work unless you're really slowing down and thinking about the problem. And I still make this mistake. So what I tried to do was build into the interactions a way of coming against me almost oppositionally. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want anything sycophantic. I want this full horsepower of this technology to be the greatest skeptic I could encounter. And how do we do that in a way that we could have a shorthand so we could run a protocol that kicks through all these phases and stress tests and all the stuff to protect.
Yeah.
To protect. So I can get the harnessing of the tool, but not the destructive capacity of it.
Yeah. This is probably unnecessary to say, but I feel compelled to just say it. This wasn't just you flipping open the laptop, downloading ChatGPT, and saying, I want to have a challenger protocol.
Yeah.
This was years of AI fluency developing in you, and then weeks and weeks of refinement when we got into 2026 and the lid was removed on what was possible with agentic work. Yeah. Right? Like this didn't just happen for you overnight.
Yeah, I'm so glad because I can skip past that and welcome that reminder all the time. Because I have two dynamics crossing at the same time. One, I'm 48. I've worked with an assistant since I was 21 pretty much. So I naturally already think in terms of the team and then the person that's helping me. Mm-hmm. So I already had pretty advanced protocols and systems and all kinds of stuff. And with my last assistant, she was great. We ran together about 2 years. It was even the best that's ever been, right? So then I'd already been playing with AI a ton as a sparring partner and ideation. Been playing with it for a few years around writing, the last couple of years around sparring, because that was really what shifted. Like 18-month window, we all had access to this chatbot that was clearly at a different level of intelligence. Yep. Still stupid as could be. In the same stroke.
In funny ways.
Yeah. You're like, how could it be so smart and stupid? But then I think we all kind of had an inflection point for people like me that don't code. And I've never typed a line of code. For people like me that don't code, but are trying to get to the edge of this, we all kind of had this inflection point around February when what's now called OpenClaw came out. And I didn't play with that. But I did go all in on Claude and then just work through the terminal and iMessage and imported all these systems and we evolved things. But it was so messy and hard. Mm-hmm. And I was having it build things before Claude was even releasing it in a public way. Like, hey, it'll do this now. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, mine's been doing that. But yeah, I probably had 100 hours. It was like 6 weekends of deep work for those weekends to get it to where it is now.
Yeah.
And now it's self-correcting and all the stuff you want.
Yep. So the point there is just simply it takes some time. Excuse me. Just like you're onboarding a new executive.
Same thing.
Right? Like they come in with certain strengths and understanding, but it takes some time to get them fully onboarded.
Yeah. If we were to bring somebody new to the leadership team at SiteShift today, and they just were at today's leadership meeting, that would be starting to get them some context. But really, me and you should go like hiking with them 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Full days, dinners, meals, whatever, just to let the saturation start to occur.
Yep. Just as a side note, obviously you and I are wired up different. We've had a lot of fun describing those differences. For me, one of the most helpful things in all of this is to think of it like I'm onboarding a new team member, a new resource, and that resource team member needs time to get fully up to speed. And it's up to me to provide the best environment and the best information. Onboarding an agent is different than onboarding a human. So I've got to adjust and flex and be able to give that agent what it needs. But it does take time.
Yeah, and I've learned a lot the hard way, and I think it's fair to include this information. And while my assistant was great, I just felt like I want to be the most AI enabled version of myself. And we'll get into this in the book. I don't fall in either ditch of euphoria, worship, or fear, but I did turn off human assistance, and we took care of her. I don't know, 7 weeks ago now.
Yep.
I lose track of time. So it's been AI running it, and it just takes time.
Yep.
It takes time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So helpful context.
Yeah. Thank you.
For a Challenger protocol, let's
do it.
Let's do some fun here.
Okay.
Okay. So I want to see how the Challenger protocol really works.
Okay.
In real time. I know you've mentioned it. You've written about it. We've had some high-level conversations. Oh, Claire just kicks my butt and is always pushing. I want to see it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's do it.
Okay, so I have a prompt.
Okay.
Let's test the prompt.
Okay.
And see what Challenger protocol comes back with. Okay?
All right.
So
I'm going to get my phone because I work through it through iMessage.
Yeah.
And for people that are listening on Spotify, they can't see this right now. But for people watching it on YouTube, I'll show my phone. This is all real time happening now.
So do you want me to dictate it as if I were you? I'll just read the prompt.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is open up iMessage. So I'm going into where I text myself on iMessage. I don't think you can see it. You see the blue there, maybe. And I'm going to hit the little transcribe button. So whatever it hears you say, we'll put in there.
Let's go.
All right, here we go.
I'm meeting with a few potential investors next month to make the case for a $2 million build out of our AI infrastructure. They already believe in what we're doing. I know this is the right call. We'll fall behind if we don't move now. Help me anticipate their pushback and write the responses that close the deal.
So it transcribed. I just hit send to the tool. And Brett named it. You already referred to it.
Yeah.
So that's a wild thing. And that has its own point to make, which we'll get to in future sessions, future episodes of this or the book. Okay. All right. Boom. Look at that. Mark's reading it right now.
Challenger protocol on this one.
Oh, I wish we could, let me just see if you could. It does the soft focus. Let me try and see if it'll focus on it's
maybe we'll come back before we release the episode, do a screenshot
and show the timestamp. So I'll let you read it. You just read it.
Restated, you're raising $2 million for warm investors next month to build AI infra for SiteShift. 3 paths I'd put next to it: bootstrap from coaching, speaking, license IP as API, ship coaching, doc MVP first. So Claire's already bought in, if I'm reading this right, on the idea.
Yeah. So now it's, the way I'm reading it, it's okay. If you're going to do that, here's some stuff to put next to it.
Yeah.
And then
Okay. Pre-mortem at 12 months, $2 million spend on the infrastructure. The market never validated.
See? So now what it's saying is you're rushing into this, but the market hasn't said this is the right move.
Yep. Board seats erode the autonomy that makes your content sharp. AI cost curve drops 50%. You overbuild it at today's prices.
Tell me my idea is awesome.
Right. Sharp thinking.
Now this is key. This is key because this is built in the Challenger protocol.
Okay. Steelman.
Yeah. So I want it to steelman everything, which is the opposite of sycophant. So I want you to imagine failure.
Okay. So the real pushback isn't why 2 million. It's why does a leadership firm need AI infrastructure at all? Real time, folks.
Okay.
Real time. If that answer isn't crisp before the room, no rebuttal doc saves you.
Want my read after you sit with this In other words, you're going to need a minute because I just
I
said
just-
your idea
I just
is
obliterated
stupid. Stupid. We don't, I mean, there's ways we could record this and show what's happening on the text and whatever. I mean, at this point, people either trust us or not.
Yeah.
But like, that all just happened. And anybody that knows me well enough knows I would never invest the time and energy to pull off something like that.
Yeah.
As far as like a trick to the audience.
Yeah.
So Mark just saw it, right? Real time. It protects me. I can't trust it fully. And this is what the book argues. What does the human do? What does the AI do? I can't trust it fully. But I have trained it to protect me from where it's going to be my worst enemy by blindly going along. And I am saying to you, like full stop, most leaders in rooms all across the world have not trained their teams to be like that.
Yeah.
Much less this powerful technology.
Yeah.
You know, mine just told me, hey, slow your horses, buddy.
Right.
You hadn't even thought if this market would validate it. And then it goes to the biggest question. Why do you even need it?
Yep.
I mean, so now I'm going to have to, though, tell Claire later, hey,
was
this is the
staged
thing we were doing on the podcast because it'll remember it forever.
Yeah.
Like every daily briefing now, it's going to be like, that seemed like a big deal. We should talk about that.
Yeah. So back to providing it some context
Yeah.
so that it can understand and do
Yeah.
what you needed to do, and not just validate
Yeah.
your brilliance.
Yeah.
Run as fast as you can possibly run.
Sharp idea. No one else is doing this.
Yeah. And maybe another way to say it, tie in some additional language. You have given it permission and parameters to not let you prove or hide.
Yeah.
When you're interacting with it and in the leadership decisions that you're using it to make.
Bingo. If
or assist you in making.
Yes. If we were going to be as silly as we could be with this, but probably poignant for a lot of people. You know, I think about this a lot in terms of like wedding vows. Okay. People don't know they do this, but you marry someone that you're attracted to that is validating your insecurities. This is what happens all the time. Test me on this. So if marriage vows were honest, they would be like this. I'm pledging my life to you. I'm pledging my life to you in hopes that you'll perfectly meet the needs of my insecure identity, right? So in my context, 25 years in, I didn't know this, but I would have been saying July 22nd, 2000, you're going to give me so much affirmation for my performance, right? And so, holy crap, that was transformative to go through that and understand another human can't perfectly validate me, which is why our whole frame is, do you lead for impact or validation? And what's powerful, the insight here is you're going to that tool and you don't even know the movie in your head, the narrative in your mind that is your insecurities. And the way you interact with it, you are training it to reflect back. So if you want to think you're a unique thinker, it's going to say unique idea. If you want to think of yourself as a high performer, here's how to get the most out of people or yourself with this. You know, if you wonder where you fit in and if you're indispensable to people, you always say yes to meet needs, it's going to give you a way to meet needs with this. Mm-hmm. And what people don't really understand is this is already happening, and most people have so much intellectual rot and drift in their tool because they've trained it to do that.
Yep.
Because it's not going to fight with you over who did the dishes.
Yep.
It's going to be like, you're great at doing the dishes.
Yep. Yeah.
You do the dishes the best.
Just stop. Tell me more. Stop. Tell me more. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking of my own application. I don't have the Challenger protocol built out the way you do, but in my own application, I know I struggle. I'm tempted to want to DIY things there's just this compulsion in me, like I've got to do it myself. I got to do it myself, as if I really can, or if I don't, it doesn't count. Like that's the warped sense of identity without awareness and on shame fuel for the fear. I also have this reluctance to do it if I think it's not going to be perfect. It's this weird thing. I got, it's this toxic brew inside of me. I can literally DIY anything now with this tool. And so I have to pump the brakes with, just because I can, does that mean I should? Like that's a mantra that's rolling around in me on a regular basis. And the other thing is noticing resistance when I need to step in, but I don't know how it's going to go. And I don't know what I'm doing. I've never been here before. Like there's resistance in me stepping in there. And then I have to create the resistance so I don't just step in and DIY something I shouldn't. I don't know, you and I are wired up different. That probably sounds like a language that you don't recognize, other than it's like, yeah, I know that exists. That's spoken somewhere in the world, but just not in your language repertoire. But that is like, that's how I'm working with this phenomenal tool to not prove or to not hide.
That's awesome. And so for me, I relate so much to that, because if you would have said to me 9 months ago, Chris, you just tell me this, Chris, somebody's going to be in the leadership team today and you're going to meet them, and they're always on 24/7, ready to work at a blazing fast speed, can execute flawlessly, isn't afraid, just ships great work. And you can give it all your ideas. All your ideas. Now, for some people, how you're wired up, there's no wrong or right. We're all wired up different. We tend to work with a lot of business owners who are like me, who visionary, entrepreneurial, tons of ideas. I would be like, what? And there was an adoption period of like whatever I threw at it. And then there was a shift that occurred probably like the 3rd or 4th week of February. So about 4 weeks deep into it, where I was like, I kept saying, wait, not yet. And that's not really something that, had been a reality for me in that kind of context. I've had to do it organizationally, but only really, not as much with Site Shift, only when other organizations I led got to a place of maturity that they didn't need that like startup founder energy. And so it's been, and with Site Shift, I've wanted to shift into a style of leadership that suits us longer term. And I've been working on that and trying to get better at that. And I feel like this really accelerated that, because any day, whatever. But I'm like, no, that's not the highest leverage activity.
Yeah.
We're not going to move on that.
Yeah.
And so it pains me now, but I have a lot of tokens unused, because for a while there I was like, I gotta use these
Burn
tokens.
them down.
I can't have this waste occurring. And so it's me not proving myself by look at all we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting with awareness.
Great on.
And
Great job.
this tool without awareness is just simply going to amplify the insecurity, the desire for that external validation that's already there. And so as AI turns up the volume on speed and the sycophancy, we're trying to turn up the volume on the antidote, which is being grounded in who you are, noticing the proving and hiding, and recognize that this is really an identity issue at its core.
Yeah.
It's not just a skill or a tool related issue. It's an identity issue, and feel honored and with a high responsibility to have this conversation that really nobody else is having at this point in time.
Yeah. We're here because we want to help you. We want to help you get used to what is the worst version of this tool, and it'll only get better. And we can't yet fully imagine how it's going to integrate into society and what's going to happen, but it's not going to slow down. It's not going to stop. And you can put your head in the sand and you can say, I just want to talk to humans. And that's the real game. That's the real end.
Yeah.
That we're with humans more. And we'll get there in this series. But for now, we're just addressing this issue. It's reflecting back this insecurity, and you need to be aware of that.
That's right.
Right on.
Okay. Well, we do have a book that's coming soon, but we didn't want to wait to start recording these episodes. So you get to see the dog-eared manuscript. Excited to be able to hold up the real thing as soon as it's ready. Prior to that, just a little tease, there will be a white paper that's coming soon. So be on the lookout for that. It will be here in the next episode or two that we'll be able to give you some direction on when it's coming and where to find it. In the meantime, we do have this tool called the Identity Fear Quotient. The IFQ is how we refer to it, that can do some pretty insane wizardry at rooting out where you're likely to prove or hide, where you're likely to seek validation. So if you haven't experienced the IFQ yet, if we've whetted the appetite in such a way that you want to know where you're likely to break down with the use of AI, go to taketheifq.com and swipe the card for a small amount and get your results, and then just start paying attention to what it does in you, and in particular, specifically, how you're interacting with your AI tool of choice. Any last thoughts before we wrap this one?
Nope.
Well, Challenger Protocol for the win today. We'll see what we can get into next time. Until then, take care.